Average Joe's Drive-In is proudly sponsored by the Maine Cannababes. The Cannababes are a charity group of pro-cannabis women from the state of Maine who are bringing worthy attention to various causes in the medical cannabis community. This year, they launched their very first Maine Cannababes Pinup Calendar, which they are taking pre-orders for as we speak. All the proceeds from the calendar are going to worthy charitable causes. If you are interested in purchasing one or finding out more about the Cannababes, you can go to their website, www.maincannababes.com, or find them on most major forms of social media like Facebook and Instagram. If you order a calendar and enter the code word Average Joe's Drive-In, you could win a chance to get an autographed picture of your favorite Maine Cannababe. Once again, put in the code word Average Joe's Drive-In for a chance to win an autographed picture of your favorite Maine Cannababe.
Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In, your weekly podcast on movies, music, games, and other things entertainment related. Now, your host, TJ Washburn.
Hey everybody, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In. I am your host, TJ Washburn. This is episode number 24, and we are wrapping up the 31 Days of Horror. Sorry for the lateness of this episode, but Maine got hit with some pretty bad weather, and a lot of people were without power and are still without power. So sending my thoughts out to everybody that was in Maine affected by the storm, New England actually by the storm, and who's struggling to get their power back on and dealing with all the inconveniences that come along with that, and just a lot of damage. And so just, hope, sending out good thoughts to everybody anyway. So I wrapped up the 31 Days of Horror on Friday. Unfortunately, due to that storm, my guest on Monday we had to reschedule, so Shane Grant will be on at a later date, hopefully a lot sooner than later, because we have some really cool stuff to talk about, and his new film Sleep Eaters is going to be making its theatrical debut November 17th, and I'm going to get Shane in and we're going to talk about that and give you a little more information about how you can see the film and what's going on with all that. So for this episode, I'm going to review the last 5 films that I watched for the 31 Days of Horror, and because I figured it was going to be a shorter episode, where I also decided to compile a list of my top 100 favorite horror films. It's not a best of list per se, as in like all-time greatest horror movies. It's just films that I enjoy, that have a special place in my heart, or scared the crap out of me, or just films that I enjoy personally. So it's just like a personal favorite list. So yeah, I'll be doing that towards the end of the show. But right now, let's get to it. And we're going to start it off with 1956, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Stop! Will you tell these fools I'm not crazy? Make them listen to me before it's too late! Listen to me. Please listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
They come from another world, spawned in the light years of space, unleashed to take over the bodies and souls of the people of our planet, bringing a new dimension in terror to the giant super scope screen.
Whatever intelligence or instinct it is that can govern the forming of human flesh and blood out of thin air is fantastically powerful, beyond any comprehension.
A cursed, dreadful, malevolent thing was happening to those he loved.
This isn't just an ordinary body, is it?
I never saw one like it. It looks unused.
The sensational star discovery of The View from Pompey's Head. And now an undreamed of horror makes her life and love a vortex of fear.
Jack! Miles, where do they come from?
I don't know.
Suddenly, while you're asleep, they'll absorb your minds, your memories.
I don't want any part of it.
You're forgetting something, Miles.
What's that?
You have no choice.
From city to city, an incredible hysterical panic spreads. As the unimaginable becomes real, the impossible becomes true.
Stop and listen! Stop and listen to me! Listen! Listen! Listen to me! They're not human! Can't you see? Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
This film was directed by Don Siegel, has a runtime of 80 minutes, rated PG, starring Kevin McCarthy, Dana Winter, and Larry Gates. I watched this on Amazon Prime. The synopsis. In Santa Mira, California, Dr. Miles Bennell, Kevin McCarthy, is baffled when all his patients come to him with the same complaint. Their loved ones seem to have been replaced by emotionless imposters. Despite others' dismissive denials, Dr. Bennell, his former girlfriend Becky, Dana Winter, and his friend Jack, King Donovan, soon discover that their patients' suspicions are true. An alien species of human duplicates, grown from plant-like pods, is taking over the small town. This was a solid old-school sci-fi horror that I quite enjoyed. This film is one I've known about for years, but I hadn't gotten around to watching it. I was having a bit of a conundrum the other night trying to figure out what I wanted to watch. Nothing was really catching my interest, and that's when I stumbled across this on Amazon Prime. I decided, what the hell, I'm in for something I haven't watched before and is revered amongst genre fans. I'm glad I watched it. It kept my attention. The film was very well done. I liked the fact the story was pretty straightforward and what little effects they had were solid, especially for a movie from that time period. The acting was also very good, which helped sell the film. In a lot of cases, especially with older films like this one, the acting tends to be very over the top, not here, or remain consistent and help tell the story in a believable way. If you've never seen this film, I highly recommend you give it a whirl. It's worth a watch. My rating was 7 out of 10. IMDb rating was 7.8 out of 10. Next up is 1993's Leprechaun.
The luck of the Irish is being packed and shipped to a little town in South Dakota whose luck may have just run out.
Leprechaun. It's out. It's out of the crate.
This film was directed by Mark Jones, has a runtime of 92 minutes, it's rated R, Stars Warwick Davis, Jennifer Aniston, and Ken Oland. I watched this one on DVD. Synopsis: Dan O'Grady, Shay Duffin, steals 100 gold coins from a leprechaun, Warwick Davis. While on vacation in Ireland, the leprechaun follows him home, but Dan locks the murderous midget in a crate. Held at bay by a four-leaf clover, 10 years later, J.D. Redding, played by John Sanderford, and his daughter, Tori, played by Jennifer Aniston, rent O'Grady's property for the summer. When their new neighbors accidentally release the leprechaun, he goes on a murderous rampage to reclaim his gold. I've watched the edited TV version of this not that long ago, but I wanted something mindless and dumb for my 31st movie on the 31 Days of Horror. I started a few days early due to my vacation, knowing it wasn't going to be around for some of it, and I had other commitments. This was a 97-cent pickup for me a while back, and I had specifically saved it for October. I knew full well it was one of those films I could throw in at any time when I wasn't in the mood for something serious. It's also got a shorter runtime, which is good. It also ended the 31 days for me with a franchise film because this movie has regurgitated numerous sequels. Listen, I don't think there's anyone out there who will argue Leprechaun is a good movie. It's far from it. It's quite bad, but that doesn't stop me from going back to it every once in a while. The cheese factor is overflowing like a clogged toilet on 50-cent taco night at the local fast food joint. While there's nothing wrong with cheese, too much of it can be a detriment to the system. Despite the fact the movie's awful, I still can find some weird enjoyment in it. I sure as hell don't hate it, otherwise I wouldn't keep rewatching. Part of it is a weird nostalgia, I'm sure. It boggles my mind that this film has spawned as many sequels as it has. Then again, I keep rewatching this one, so there's got to be something there. I will be fully honest, I've never watched any of the sequels, so maybe they're better. I need to take the plunge one of these days and give them a watch. My rating on this was a 4 out of 10. IMDb rating was a 4.7 out of 10. Next up is 2013's Odd Thomas.
Ladies, my name is Odd Thomas. Lord knows. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not the child of a celebrity. I've never been married to, abused by, or provided a kidney to a celebrity. But I do lead an unusual life. Knock, knock.
Loop me in, odd one.
This place looks like some kind of shrine.
Did you check the refrigerator for any severed heads?
That is Stormy Llewellyn. Stormy and I are destined to be together forever.
That must be for you.
I found a gateway to hell.
Get out of there, Audie.
Been communing with the dead?
It's not about who's dead, sir. It's about who soon might be.
You have a secret. You're either a clairvoyant, a psychic, or you got yourself some juice with a higher power.
I'm here looking for a guy, a creepy guy.
Any of those Bodax things around?
Bodax. When they do show up, it's a sure sign that carnage and bloodshed are not far behind. If they find out you can see them, they will kill you.
I'm just so scared for you, Audie.
A lot of people died in that dream of yours, huh, Odd?
Yeah, they did.
Your dreams ever come true?
This town is in serious trouble.
I want an APB put out on this guy now!
August 15th. Trust me, that is the day that Pico Mundo will never forget.
This film was directed by Stephen Sommers, has a runtime of 97 minutes, Rated PG-13, stars Anton Yelchin, Ashley Summers, Leonore Varela, and Willem Dafoe. I watched this on Netflix. A clairvoyant cook joins forces with his sweetheart and the town sheriff to prevent an unknown catastrophe that may be linked to a weird stranger. Odd Thomas is another film I've had in my Netflix queue forever and hadn't gotten around to watching. I was in the mood for something newer and different. What I had seen about the film told me it was the perfect watch for what I was looking for. This is a fun film. It's interesting and different. Sure, there are some nitpicky things about it that might annoy some folks, but overall, it's a solid film. It's sad Anton Yelchin passed away so young. He had such a bright future ahead of him and was a very enjoyable actor. I thought this film really showcased that. The effects are good, a good blend of practical and CGI. The acting is solid and it moves along at a fairly brisk pace. I'll also be completely honest, I got a little misty-eyed at the end. That doesn't happen very often, but it did here. So that alone says something. If you're in the mood for something different with a good story, give this one a view. It's far from perfect, but it's a solid film I highly enjoyed. My rating, 7 out of 10. IMDb rating, 6.9 out of 10. Up next, 1946 is Shock.
Hello, this is Mrs. Stewart. Did my husband come in? No, thank you.
I'm Dr. Cross, Mrs. Stewart. I'm your friend. I'm here to help you. This delusion is quite common among mental cases in an institution of this sort.
Are you trying to tell me my wife is out of her mind?
I'm going to try to find something that will convince her that she's insane.
You don't understand. There's nothing the matter with me. I want the police. That doctor's a murderer.
You go back to bed and we'll call him.
Don't talk to me as if I were crazy. I'm telling you the truth.
This film was directed by Alfred L. Worker. There's a runtime of 69 minutes, not rated. Stars Vincent Price, Lynn Barry, and Frank Lattimore. Format, Amazon Prime. Synopsis: a psychiatrist, Dr. Cross, is treating a young woman, Janet Stewart, who is in a coma state, brought on when she heard loud arguing, but went to her window and saw a man strike his wife with a candlestick and kill her. This one wasn't really a horror, but more of a mystery thriller that still counts in my book for the 31 Days of Horror, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the month. I'm a huge fan of Vincent Price, one of the original legends of horror in my honest opinion. Most of the films of his I've seen, I've loved. I have never seen Shock, so I was interested to see where it would stand against classics like The Fly, The Last Man on Earth, and House on Haunted Hill. I knew nothing about it, so I was going in completely blind. It's a pretty straightforward mystery thriller and moves along at a good clip. There really isn't anything too crazy with the plot, so it's easy to follow along. The acting's, for the most part, solid. Vincent Price is wonderful as usual. One thing I found interesting was how they handled some of the medical procedures. Seeing the film is over 70 years old, much of it seemed rather antiquated by today's standards. It was odd to watch, thinking about how they would handle such things now. Overall, a good quick watch. Not one of Price's best films, but not one of the worst either. If you're a fan, it's worth a viewing. It's available to watch for free with your Amazon Prime membership. There are also several copies of this on YouTube for those of you who don't have Prime, though I can't comment on the quality of those versions. My rating is a 5.5 out of 10. IMDb rating was a 6.3 out of 10. And the last film that I am going to review is 2017's The Babysitter.
All right, tomorrow night, you, me, party.
What up, Steve? B, call us if there's any trouble, okay? Cole, don't cause any trouble.
I bet B has boys over at your place all the time.
That's what babysitters do. Seriously, have you ever been awake after she's fallen asleep?
I love her.
Man, 3 out of 4 people got an STD. I got 2 people's blood on me. You do the math.
911. My babysitter is trying to kill me.
Are the attackers in the house?
They're downstairs having a blast.
Alrighty, babes, let's head upstairs and get the blood of the innocent.
This would go viral. I mean, nobody's done human sacrifice.
People have always done human sacrifice.
Yeah, but like, not in America with hot people.
Hey.
Hi, Cole.
Not weird, we're just having fun. Things get messy when you make a deal with the devil.
Why is he shirtless?
That's your first question?
There's only one way to end this, Cole. Fuck you!
Kitty, God!
Oh my god, he shot me in the boob! What kind of dick shoots a girl in the boob?
You guys suck. You crazy bitch.
This film was directed by Mick G. Runtime 85 minutes. Rated TV Mature. Starring Judith Lewis, Samara Weaving, and Robbie Amell. Format Netflix. Synopsis. When Cole stays up past his bedtime, he discovers his hot babysitter is part of a satanic cult that will stop at nothing to keep him quiet. I've been hearing some fairly positive reviews for this one, so I decided to give it a watch. I knew the basic outline of the story, but not enough that it spoiled it for me, so I had an idea of what to expect going in. I gotta get this out of the way. First of all, am I the only one that wants McDonald's every time I hear McG's name? I highly doubt it, but dude, really? Maybe use your real name and not an old nickname. Then again, the guy is making films and I'm not. So, yeah, there's that. This is a fairly dumb, fun type of horror comedy. While not on the level of Shaun of the Dead or Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, it's entertaining. It moves along at a good clip and never once was I bored. I was actually a little shocked when it ended and how quickly it was over. This isn't going to win any Oscars, but it's entertaining and knows what it is. It embraces that and doesn't hold back on making you aware of that fact. The effects are pretty solid. I like the main actors, and even the bad guys were kind of likable in a weird sort of way. Don't get me wrong, it's far from perfect, but I'm glad I gave it a chance. It's one I'll be rewatching again for sure. If you like fun horror that you can check your brain at the door with, this is a good one to check out. My rating, 6.5. IMDb rating, 6.5. With that ends my 31 movies for the 31 Days of Horror. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to recap the films that I watched and give you the ratings again in case you missed the older episodes and you want to know what I did. So the 2017 Average Joe's Drive-In 31 Days of Horror. Film number 1, Cellar Dweller. I rated that a 5.10. Film number 2, The Legend of Boggy Creek. Rated that 6 out of 10. Film 3, Creature from Black Lake. 7 out of 10. Film 4, The Dead Zone. 8 out of 10. Film 5, Carrie. 8 out of 10. Film 6, Pet Sematary. 6.5 out of 10. Film 7, The Blair Witch Project. 6 out of 10. Film 8, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, 5 out of 10. Film number 9, The Fog, 6.5 out of 10. Film number 10, World War Z, 6.5 out of 10. Film number 11, Night of the Creeps, 8 out of 10. Film number 12, Gargoyles, 3.5 out of 10. Film 13, Halloween, 8 out of 10. That's the original. Film number 14, Halloween 2, 6.5 out of 10. Film 15, Bats, 4 out of 10. Film 16, The Changeling, 9 out of 10. Film 17, Beyond the Gates, 5.5 out of 10. Film number 18, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, 5.5 out of 10. Film number 19, Friday the 13th, Part 2, 6 out of 10. Film 20, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, 6 out of 10. Film number 21, Friday the 13th, Jason Lives, 6.5 out of 10. Film 22, Trick or Treat, 7 out of 10. Film 23, Return of the Living Dead 2, 5 out of 10. Film 24, Return of the Living Dead 3, 4 out of 10. Film 25, Silver Bullet, 6.5 out of 10. Film 26, Never Hike Alone, 7 out of 10. Film 27, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1956 version, 7 out of 10. Film 28, The Babysitter, 6.5 out of 10. Film 29, Shock, 5.5 out of 10. Film 30, Odd Thomas, 7 out of 10. And film 31, Leprechaun, 4 out of 10. Overall, I was really happy this year with the 31 Days of Horror and what I got to watch. I really didn't have any duds per se that were absolutely horrible. I had a couple that were pretty bad, but not unwatchable bad at least. Except for maybe Gargoyles. That one was pretty awful. At least I thought so. I was kind of bummed because I really wanted to get more in than that. I had a pile of other films that I just didn't get a chance to get around to with just being busy, and stuff happens. But I got my 31 in, and that's what's important. So I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to the episodes and the reviews, and kind of keeping up with what I've been watching. And I love to hear from you guys. So please keep hitting up the Facebook and Instagram, and I try to get back to everybody as quick as I can. Also, I'm going to ask you all for a favor. If you're listening to this podcast and you enjoy it on whatever site that you use to listen to it, could you please rate it? Maybe leave a quick comment about why you like the show. That helps a lot with getting the podcast more visibility and more people to check it out. It's not just about listens. I know it's a huge pain in the ass to go do, but I would greatly appreciate it, and it would help the show out a lot. So with that, I'll stop begging for you to go leave comments and like the page on the things you live about. So I mentioned this earlier in the show, and I am going to give you guys a little treat. I compiled the list of my top 100 favorite horror films. I gotta take a drink of water, another drink of water, because my throat is really dry, and this is a long list. So this list is just personal favorites, and there's reasons why certain films are in certain places, whether it be the time period I watched them and the influence they had on me as a horror fan, or just rewatchability, films that I love, even if they're not great films. Because I'll admit, there's a lot of films on here that really aren't great movies, but I enjoy them, and they have a special place for me. So this isn't like a top 100 greatest horror films of all time, because there's a lot of films on here that I haven't seen, classics or newer ones that would decimate other films on this list. This is just my personal favorite list. So I hope you enjoy. Maybe you'll hear about a movie you've never heard about before, and this gives you some reason to go check it out. So, Average Joe's Drive-In, top 100 favorite horror films of all time. Number 100, Bats. Number 99, The Dead Hate the Living. Number 98, Rare Exports. Number 97, House of Wax, the remake. Number 96, Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. Number 95, Dark Water. That's the original version. Number 94, Final Destination. Number 93, Return to Horror High. Number 92, Stakeland. Number 91, Eight-Legged Freaks. Number 90, Misery. Number 89, The Eye. Number 88, Cabin in the Woods. Number 87, It, the 2017 version. I kind of debated about putting that on where it's such a new film and I only see it once, but it impressed me so much that I definitely felt like it needed to be on the top 100. Number 86, The Mist. Number 85, Deep Red, The Hatchet Murders. Number 84, Hellraiser. Number 83, The Blair Witch Project. Number 82, High Tension. Number 81, Zombie. That's Lucio Fulci's Zombie. Number 80, Troll Hunter. Number 79, Phenomenon, which is an amazing movie and just got a Blu-ray release. I believe Shout Factory did it, and it's loaded, and I am just waiting for a sale and some discount points and stuff at Bull Moose so I can get that because I absolutely adore that movie. Number 78, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is another very great underrated film. If you haven't seen it and you're a horror fan, you will love it. 77, Shocker. 76, The Descent. Number 75, The Fourth Kind. 74, The House on Haunted Hill, the remake. 73, Cooties. 72, Altered. 71, Psycho. 70, Silence of the Lambs. 69, The Burning. 68, Candyman. 67, In the Mouth of Madness. 66, The Changeling. 65, The Hills Have Eyes, the remake. 64, Wrong Turn. 63, Resident Evil. 62, Undead. 61, John Carpenter's Vampires. 60, Slither. 59, Fright Night. 58, Gremlins. 57, Humanoids from the Deep, which is a bad film, but it's so awesome and fun. Had to throw that one on there. 56, Child's Play. 55, Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell, also known as City of the Living Dead. 54, Planet Terror. 53, Feast. 52, 10 Cloverfield Lane. John Goodman is absolutely amazing in that movie. If you have not seen it yet because you didn't like the first Cloverfield, I think I said this before, but you need to watch 10 Cloverfield Lane. It is just an amazing movie. 51, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. 50, The Devil's Rejects. 49, Evil Dead. 48, Ginger Snaps. 47, The Blob, the 80s version. 46, 28 Days Later. 45, Session 9. 44, An American Werewolf in London. 43, The Lost Boys. 42, Carrie. 41, Friday the 13th. 40, Bubba Hotep. 39, Zombievers. 38, The Church. 37, Dawn of the Dead, the remake. 36, Signs. 35, Creature from Black Lake. 34, the original Frankenstein. 33, The Thing. 32, Prophecy, the monster movie. 31, Night of the Creeps. 30, Insidious. 29, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake. 28, The Frighteners. 27, Battle Royale. Now, some people might not call Battle Royale a horror. I think it's pretty hard not to call it a horror because that movie is freaking disturbing as all hell. and what's going on in that film is horrific. So it's a horror. I don't care what you say. Fight me. 26, Shaun of the Dead. 25, From Dusk Till Dawn. 24, Silver Bullet. 23, Tremors. 22, Cemetery Man. 21, the original Poltergeist. That movie absolutely scared the shit out of me as a kid. So, it doesn't so much now, but because of the whole, it was, another one of those early horror experiences, it's always stuck with me. So, it gets to be number 21. Number 20, Halloween. Number 19, Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead is another one of those films. It's really not a great movie, but it's so much fun. It really is so much fun. And Lance Henriksen is awesome in that. I absolutely adore that movie. Number 18, The Final Girls. Another amazing movie that if you are a horror fan, especially a slasher fan, an 80s slasher fan, you need to watch The Final Girls. You will really appreciate it. Number 17, The Shining. 16, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Number 15, Alien. Number 14, Near Dark. Number 13, Them. And this is the creature feature, Them, about the giant ants, not the movie that come out, I can't remember, early 2000s, I think. Number 12, Dog Soldiers. Number 11, the original Night of the Living Dead. Number 10, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Absolutely awesome film. I laugh my ass off every time I watch it. I've probably watched the movie 13 or 14 times since it's come out, and it's not that old, so that's saying something. Just a awesome movie. I absolutely love Alan Tudyk is just great in that. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. Funny and awesome and gory and just awesome. Yeah. Number 9, the original Piranha. Again, another staple that I have watched countless times, never get sick of. It's not a great movie, but it's so much fun. Number 8, I actually really had a hard time putting this at number 8. It should have probably gone higher, but it's just, I don't know. It was just such a hard call for me. And that is Return of the Living Dead. Just Return of the Living Dead, an amazing movie. My bottom 5 of the top 10 could probably be interchanged, so it could be anywhere on there. But Return of the Living Dead is another phenomenal genre movie, and just it's my love of spooky goth girls came from this movie and Linnea Quigley, and yeah, as trash. So I have this movie to thank for my unhealthy obsession with that. Number 7, Friday the 13th Part 4. This is my favorite, probably it's my favorite of the Friday the 13th series. I wouldn't even rate this as the highest rated film of the series, but it's my personal favorite. I tried like hell not to put sequels on here unless the sequel was better, but or have 2 or 3 movies from the same franchise, but there's a few cases, and this is one of them. Number 6, Monster Squad. Movie I loved as a kid. It's another one that you could debate whether it's an actual horror movie or not. Has all the classic, monsters in it. So to me, it's definitely a horror movie, especially for a kid. It was one of the first earlier horror movies I really watched and loved as a kid. Number 5, we're getting into the top 5, and these 5 films right here, I absolutely love all 5 of these films for different reasons. They all hold special places in my heart, and I've watched all 5 of these films probably more times than I could count. And if you've never seen I would be shocked if you've never seen these films, but if you haven't, please go check them out. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these ones. I didn't want to spend a lot of time where the list is so long on all the other ones, but these 5 I really want to talk about. Coming in at number 5, my favorite Vincent Price film is The Last Man on Earth. This movie is so damn good. It showcased what a tremendous actor Vincent Price was. The screenplay is amazing. The score is amazing. It's the out of the 3 adaptations of Matheson's I Am Legend, this is my favorite easily. Probably followed by I Am Legend with Will Smith and the Charlton Heston version, which I can't remember what the hell that's even called right now. But it's just a phenomenal movie, and it's so good, and I love Vincent Price so much in that movie. If you have never seen it, please track it down and check it out. It's so worth the watch. Number 4, Critters. Again, another movie from my childhood that borderline, whether it's a horror movie or not, there were some parts in this as a kid that scared the shit out of me. So I do consider it a horror. Definitely has horror elements in it. It's more, I think it's really more of a sci-fi, but it has horror elements. Again, one of those films I watched, I think on HBO probably 30 times growing up, and I had a VHS copy that I had taped and watched, and I used to almost know the friggin' thing verbatim, line for line. I watched it so much, and so many fond memories. It's another one, I have have the poster hanging on my wall in my house, and I just love the freaking movie. It's not amazing. It's not a great movie, but it's awesome in all the right ways. There's faults with it. The effects are but whatever. Number 3, my favorite werewolf film of all time. It's dirty and grimy and just and that is The Howling. Dee Wallace is just, I love Dee Wallace. She's in several of the movies I mentioned on this list, and Dee Wallace is awesome. The story's awesome. I love the whole premise. The sequels, not so much. Although couple of the sequels I actually do enjoy quite a bit, but a lot of them I either haven't seen, and the ones I have aren't that great. 2 in particular is very sucky, but awesome in a weird sort of way. So yeah, a lot of people give me flack for having this above like American Werewolf in London and some of the other films, but I love it, man. It's a great film, and if you've never seen it, if you're younger, never seen The Howling, check it out. It's so good. Number 2, Jaws. A lot of people, again, wouldn't consider Jaws a horror movie, but this movie kept me from going in the water for about 3 summers, or not going out of my dock, past my dock very far in the water as a kid. It had an effect on me. It had an effect on a lot of people, and that to me qualifies it as a horror movie. Now, the weird thing about this is if you ask me what my all-time favorite movie is, not just horror, but Jaws would be my all-time favorite movie. I probably watched it more than just about anything, or pretty damn close. But as far as like horror goes, I can't put it in number 1. I don't have to tell you a lot about Jaws because it's Jaws. Everybody knows. Again, another one I have the poster hanging on in my office. Number 1 is a film that will always hold a special place in my heart. It's the film that really cemented me as a horror fan. And if it wasn't for this movie and watching it when I did, under the circumstances that I was getting into Stephen King and I had discovered the Misfits, and if it wasn't for this film, I don't think I would have turned into the horror geek that I am. Maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't. And that is 1990's Night of the Living Dead, the remake, and this film just utterly captivated me. Tony Todd was so amazing as Ben, and I got to meet Tony Todd last year, which was just one of those weird moments that I will always remember. And I got a autographed picture of him from that show as Ben from Night of the Living Dead, and he autographed it for me, and I got to tell him, thank you for being such a big influence on me, and along with Tom Savini and George Romero and everybody that was involved in that film. Patricia Tallman, Night of the Living Dead 90, it is the film that made me the horror nerd that I am today. So that film is always going to be pretty much will always be my number one favorite horror film for that reason right there. And, there's not a whole lot more I can say about that. So I hope you enjoyed listening to the Top 100 and I didn't bore you too bad with it. I'm going to post the list on the Average Joe's Drive-In website so you can check it. And if there's films on there you haven't seen, please go check them out. Like I said, a lot of them aren't great movies, but they have their own, a lot of them have their own special charm to them. And they're all films that I really do enjoy for one reason or the other. Or like I said, some of them are on there just because they absolutely scared the shit out of me. There's a few of them I've only seen once. And I put them on there because just that one viewing affected me so much. And, I plan on getting back to those and giving them another watch down the road. So yeah, this is, again, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. I would like to thank my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes. Please go check them out. They will be shipping the new 2018 calendar this month. You can visit them at mainecannababes.com. They have all kinds of really cool merch on the site you can buy and support. And all the money goes to worthy charitable causes. There's also a lot of really good information on the website regarding the legal cannabis in Maine and medical cannabis in Maine and the rules and caregivers and all that sort of stuff. So it is a plethora of knowledge if you need to find stuff out. Again, that's mainecannababes.com. And again, please check out all the social media sites: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter is TWJ Author. Instagram is just Thomas Washburn Jr. Facebook, Average Joe's Drive-In Podcast. Look us up. You can also visit the .com, www.thomaswashburnjr.com. And once again, as I said earlier in the show, if you could please rate the show and leave a little review if you feel like it on whatever site you are streaming Average Joe's Drive-In, that would be a huge help. It makes the makes the podcast more visible, so people know that people are listening and following, and it just helps a lot. Plays are huge, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to the show and supporting it. When I started, I expected like 5 people to be listening to the show, and knowing that I have hundreds of people checking this show out every week, it just means a lot to me. And again, I love hearing from everybody. So if you want to, if you want to chat or leave a comment or have a suggestion or anything like that, please hit up one of the social media sites and say hi. Let us know that you're listening. Like those pages too, so you can keep up with what's going on. And again, thank you. You have been listening to Average Joe's Drive-In. I am your host, TJ Washburn, and I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.